The cursor blinks on the screen. It is 2026, and the office is quiet, save for the low hum of the ventilation system. Your finger hovers over the login button of an old brokerage account, a digital ghost from a life you barely recognize. A simple email notification sits open in another tab, a reminder of an account you abandoned years ago. You click. The page loads with a sluggish, mechanical grind. Your heart hammers against your ribs, a frantic rhythm that fills the silence of the room. The dashboard populates. You stare. You stop breathing. The balance sits there in bold, black text. You blink, convinced the screen is flickering, but the numbers remain fixed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 digits. $2 million. You lean in, your face inches from the glass, counting the commas again. It is not a glitch. It is not a test. You pull your hand back, as if the mouse were burning. The room feels suddenly, impossibly small. You are looking at a fortune. The shock of the screen fades, replaced by the memory of a different room. It is 2016. You are sitting at a desk that feels like a cage, listening to the rhythmic, soul-crushing clatter of the office printer. The air smells of burnt coffee and stale paper. You are running on a treadmill that leads nowhere, trading hours for a paycheck that barely covers the rent. Every day is a mirror of the last. You have an extra $100 in your checking account, a small surplus from a month of eating cheap meals. You stare at the screen, weighing the options. A dinner out, a few hours of distraction, or something else. You open a trading app, your fingers clumsy on the keys. You do not research. You pick a company that makes computer chips. You set up an automated transfer for $100. You close the app, turn back to your spreadsheet, and return to the grind. The habit took root in the background of your life. Every month, $100 vanished from your checking account, like a small, silent ghost. You did not tell your friends. You did not post about it online. You simply let the machine do the work. While the numbers moved in the digital void, your actual life shifted violently. You moved into a cramped apartment with thin walls. You quit the office job for a role that promised more but delivered only longer hours. You went through a breakup that left your living room feeling hollow and quiet. A family emergency forced you to drain your savings, yet you kept the automated transfer active, a stubborn, invisible anchor. The market rose and fell, but you were too exhausted to track the charts. You were busy fighting the daily grind, catching the bus in the rain. Through every personal upheaval, the transfer remained constant. It was a rhythmic, mechanical heartbeat. Your money was quietly building a mountain in the dark. Then, the momentum broke. You switched banks to chase a lower monthly fee, a move dictated by the tightening grip of your mounting bills. In the scramble of changing direct deposits and updating utility payments, the old trading app became a casualty of your exhaustion. Your debit card expired, and with it, the automated link to the brokerage account severed. You received an automated email notification about the failed transfer, but you deleted it without reading. The $100 felt like a luxury you could no longer afford. You were tired, bone-deep tired. You spent your nights calculating rent, electricity, and the rising cost of groceries. The app on your phone became a relic of a version of you that had more breathing room. You stopped trying to log in. You forgot the password. You forgot the company name. You forgot the dream. The account did not close. It simply drifted into the digital ether, an abandoned vessel. You moved on, taking the bus in the rain, working late shifts, and focusing entirely on the immediate, crushing weight of keeping your head above water. Years bled into one another, marked only by the changing weather against your office window. You watched the world transform through the blue light of headlines. The tech industry seemed to ignite, a wildfire of innovation that left you squinting at the screen. You read about the rise of artificial intelligence, the impossible heights of the stock market, and the new fortunes being minted overnight. It felt like watching a high-stakes game from the cheap seats, a spectator, to a revolution you could not touch. Then came 2020. The streets emptied. The world retreated behind closed doors. You spent those months in a haze of uncertainty, navigating the new, strange rhythm of lockdowns and remote screens. You were just another face in the crowd, trying to keep your head above water while the global economy shifted its tectonic plates. You saw the news of companies hitting record valuations, of people you did not know becoming overnight successes, and you felt the familiar, dull ache of being left behind. You were an observer, a ghost in the machine, watching the world sprint toward a future that seemed to have no room for you. You did not know that the ground beneath your feet was already changing. While you were fighting to keep your head above water, that forgotten account was doing the heavy lifting. It was working in the dark. Every share you bought in 2016 was not just sitting there. It was multiplying. The company you had picked by accident was at the center of a global shift, its technology becoming the bedrock of the very AI revolution. You were busy worrying about the price of gas and the next rent increase, unaware that your small, consistent habit was quietly building a mountain. The shares split. The value surged. The compounding effect, once a slow crawl, began to feed on itself, turning your modest contributions into a massive, unseen engine. It was a silent, relentless process. You were living in a state of scarcity, yet your digital footprint was expanding with a life of its own. You did not see the charts. You did not track the gains. You were too exhausted to look, and that was the secret to its success. The account grew without your permission, without your panic. It was a machine that never slept, fueled by the very tech explosion you thought had left you behind. Now, in 2026, the blue light of the monitor washes over your face. Your finger hovers over the login button. You click. The page loads with a soft, digital hum. You navigate to the History tab, your pulse thrumming in your ears. You see the list of transactions, 24 entries, each for $100. A total investment of $2,400. You look at the current balance. You count the digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, $2 million. You stop breathing. The air in the room turns thin. You blink, expecting the numbers to rearrange, to collapse back into something sensible. They do not. You look at the current price of the stock, then back at the total. It is a number so large it feels like a glitch in the system, a mathematical impossibility that has somehow manifested on your screen. You lean back, the chair groaning under your sudden shift in weight. The reality of the screen refuses to align with the reality of your life. You stare at the transaction history again, tracing the small monthly ghosts of your past self. You push the chair back. It scrapes against the floor, a sharp, jarring sound in the quiet room. You stand up, your legs feeling heavy, as if you are walking through water. You walk to the window and press your palms against the cool glass. Outside, the city is exactly as it was yesterday. The traffic moves in rhythmic pulses. People are rushing to work, heads down, eyes fixed on their phones, chasing the same grind you just escaped. They have no idea that the man standing behind this glass has just been untethered from the life they are still living. You realize that the version of you who kept that $100 habit alive for those 2 years was not just saving money, he was saving your future self. You didn't need to be a genius to reach this point. You just needed to be consistent when it was easy, and patient when it was forgotten. That version of you, the one who took the bus in the rain and worried about rent, was the architect of this moment. You turn away from the window and walk back to the desk. The laptop sits there, a small, unassuming portal to a life you never imagined. You reach out and press the lid down. The screen goes dark, the blue light vanishing, leaving the room in a soft, natural shadow. You do not reopen it. You do not need to check the math again. The weight of those $2 million settles into your bones. You realize now that you won this game not by being a genius, not by predicting the future, and certainly not by being the loudest person in the room. You won because you were quiet. You were persistent when the world was loud and demanding. You were invisible when others were desperate for attention. That $100 habit was a seed planted in the dark, watered by nothing but your own consistency. You sit in the silence of the room, listening to the hum of the refrigerator and the distant murmur of the city. You have $2 million. And yet, the most valuable thing you possess is the knowledge of how you got here. It was not luck. It was the simple, boring, relentless act of showing up for yourself when no one else was watching. You stand up and walk toward the door. You are not the same person who sat down an hour ago. You are someone who knows the power of the invisible. You open the door and step out into the hallway, leaving the past behind, carrying the future in your stride.